So welcome to another exciting edition of the ESQ Practical Learning Academy webinar series. We are glad you joined us here today. My name is Chidima Abu and I'm a research and development associate at ESQ Training Limited. At ESQ Training Limited, our mission is to expand the frontiers of continuous professional learning with courses and trainings across various areas of practice. We have tagged this webinar series the Launch Our Webinar Series as they are slated to hold at 1 p.m. during lunch breaks. They will hold 3 times every week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. However, in order to accommodate our Muslim participants, we hold our Friday webinars by 11 a.m. And after every session, we try to provide the slides for those who are interested. So you can now watch our webinars, both past and the ones we're going to be doing moving forward, on our YouTube at My ESQ Legal. And please, when you that you are done, please kindly subscribe. Thank you. So today's topic will be discussing digital assets and the intellectual property. And some of the things that will be discussed today will be gaining an understanding of digital assets and what they comprise, learning about intellectual property law and how they apply to digital assets, gaining insight into recent and proposed intellectual property reforms, gaining access to case studies in the field of trademark infringement, understanding strategic considerations and outcomes that drive decisions in managing IT disputes, and many more areas that our panelists will be touching on this particular topic. So please, if you have any questions while the webinar is ongoing, please type them in the Q&A, and in due time it will be answered. So our first speaker is Mokut Dofia. Am I correct? Yes. Okay. She's an intellectual property and technology attorney. Yes, in New York. Yes. Our second speaker would be Oluwaseun Ayoshola Joshua. His name is Sage. Yes, he's an associate at Aliko and Oyeko. He's joining us shortly. He's also the founder of Commercially Aware, and lastly we have Grace Kalu. She's an executive associate and team lead at Harlem Solicitors in Oyo State. So these 3 panelists will be helping us on this particular topic. So I think I will leave it to Dofia to start off, and then when Sage joins us, we will go on from there.
Okay. Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Is it better? You can hear me? Okay. Do you want me to share my slides on the screen? I'm gonna try to do that. I hope I have the right one.
Hi, Sage.
Hi, yes. Sorry, it took me some time to actually download the app and then join in. So.
Okay.
You don't want to turn on your video?
Oh yeah, I'm turning it on.
Yes.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me just put on.
Okay.
So I'm gonna try to share my slides shortly. Yeah. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, all right. Because I wasn't sure that you could. Okay, hi everyone. Today I will just be talking about intellectual property protection of digital assets. My name is Mokut Udofia, and I am an attorney. I'm licensed in Nigeria as well. So before I moved here, I worked in Aboyade & Co, and I left as a senior associate. And of course, I left to pursue intellectual property, which is something that I'm very passionate about. And so I was really excited when Chidima, reached out to me and said and asked if I could speak on this topic. So I will go on to talk about a few things. And first, I want to start with something that's fun about me. And that's the fact that I actually wanted to be an architect. I never wanted to be a lawyer. But that's story for another day. I'm a lawyer now and I'm totally enjoying it. And I think it's because I don't really like maths, except when I have to count my money. So that's probably the only time. But I'm also skilled in the arts of the sword. Yeah, I'm dangerous like that. And my favorite cookies is rich tea. Don't ask me why, but yeah, that's what it is. And yes, so I'll just get into the topic for today. We all know that we live in a digital world, and of course, this means that there are assets everywhere. We're constantly using assets, digital assets particularly. We're using our phones, we're using a lot of cameras, we're using our computers. So everything is practically digitized at this point. So I believe that everything that used to be physically, held is now being digitized. Of course, we remember, I don't know, I don't want to speak for anybody's age, but of course there was a time where, we only used vinyls, but now we use, of course, MP3s, and everything else is on the cloud now. And that has brought a couple of intellectual property questions. Of course, this leads to what is really digital assets. So digital assets has a broad definition because, of course, the times are ever developing and the field of technology is continually expanding. So it's not like we can't really exhaust everything in one day, actually, because tomorrow we might have a new technology that's going to, add to what we consider as digital assets. But digital assets basically is any content in any format that is stored digitally and that provides value to any one of us, that provides value to users, to consumers, to companies, and stuff like that. So like houses, like lands, like cars and jewelry, digital assets also have value, and they can also be inherited. You can leave it to your children, or to whoever you feel like. I will also talk about examples of digital assets that we have today, just some examples. So we have the digital token, which we all know as cryptocurrency. So yes, despite whatever downfalls, we've been facing now with cryptocurrency, and I don't know how many people actually, bought into that, but we can agree that it is an asset and it's something of value, right? And I say this because I also have a client who made $8 million out of just cryptocurrency. And that in itself shows that it's an asset. It has value. He's made a lot of money out of it. We also have digital accounts, which are like our emails, our software licenses, our social media, online bank accounts, our social media bank accounts as well. We have digital contents, which is images like photos, and then we have videos, we have our logos and documents. Even my presentation today is practically, a digital asset. If I wanted to create some sort of value out of it, I could. And then we have things like domain name, the network infrastructure assets, like your IP address definitely is an asset. And then we have big data, like consumer lists. So a lot of companies use things like consumer lists. They make money out of those kind of data. They sell them to other people. And then we have virtual reality, which are basically digital models or Internet of Things. So I will just pose a little question to the audience. What do you think is the most valuable brand in the world right now? I just want to see like answers. I can't really see anyone who's
Okay, so
responding.
I think she just asked the question. If you have anything to say. Okay,
what do you think is the most
just said
valuable brand?
Gucci.
Gucci is the most valuable brand in the world right now.
Said Gucci. Yes, Quadri said Apple.
Okay.
Olufemi Akimefe said Google. Ojo Emmanuel said Tesla.
Okay. Okay, so the top 10 valuable brands, Amazon, Apple, Google, Microsoft, Tencent, Facebook, Alibaba, Visa, McDonald's, and MasterCard. And this is what they're valued at, because you can see the billions beside their names. And Amazon is top now. But for me, the takeaway is that the first 7 companies are practically technology companies, right? And this goes to show that technology is a big deal and it has come to stay, because if the top players are all technology companies, then there's a lot that we need to be doing. But there's also another thing that they have in common that makes them very valuable. It's their intellectual property, right? And, you know, according to Getty, who is the founder of Getty Images, intellectual property is the oil of the 21st century. And that's what it really is. It is taken, you know, to greater heights. Like, we can't even imagine, you know, the value of intellectual property to nations, to companies, even to individuals right now. So protecting your intellectual property has gotten a bit difficult as technology has advanced, right? Because the internet, of course, has opened doors to allow people to just easily copy, to reproduce your material without permission. Of course, right now we have social media, of course. So anything we put on social media can be shared without our permission. And patents and trademark and copyright are all at risk. You know, counterfeiters have established, of course, dedicated storefronts on social media platforms, and that has become a huge problem. But the question really is, how does intellectual property apply to digital assets? So I'm not going to really touch too much on what like copyright or trademark and patent, like go deep into it. But of course, a lot of us know that copyrights protect literal and artistic works, and trademark protects our logos, our names and slogans. And then patents, of course, protects things like inventions that we could come up with. But one thing I really want to talk about is one of the digital assets that I mentioned, and that would be blockchain technology, which everybody kind of is talking about now. It's been a huge deal probably for the last 10 years, but blockchain has been seen to be used to manage IP rights. And it's a technology that has absolutely changed a lot of things, especially for businesses. So just a little overview of what blockchain technology is. It is an open ledger of information that can be used to record and track transactions. So you could put different things in it, and you're able to track. So it could be your photo, your videos, I mean, whatever it is, your documents, and you're able to actually track different transactions that you want to track. Blockchain technology plays an important role in the area of unregistered IP, like copyright. So we all know that you really don't need to get a copyright registration to be protected. However, if you use a blockchain technology, you have the opportunity to track the life cycle of your IP rights. And you're able to tell when it was first recorded. You're able to tell every transaction that was done after that. And that in itself is an important thing. You're able to tell the timestamps and the chain of events. And this has become very attractive to a lot of industries. So you can add different things like your data, your videos, your photos, like design documents and those kind of things. So another protection that it offers is the evidence of creatorship and authentication. So you can track and you can control the distribution of your IP. So for example, you can tell when a work, the first time it was used in commerce, right? You can establish and enforce IP agreements just under the blockchain technology because there is a timestamp and there is a cycle of events. You can have licenses through things like smart contracts, which is really a big deal now. And on the blockchain, you can also make payments to IP owners on real time. And that in itself is great. So blockchain can also be, so under trademark, blockchain can be used to for authentication of like counterfeit or stolen goods. So now I know that now what people do is that they have some sort of blockchain and their branding. So you can actually tell what is real and what is fake now. And that's revolutionary. I think it's a great thing. There are other ways that you can also protect your digital assets. And one of those ways is through cryptography, right? You can protect it like you want a gun. So you can have things like encoding, you can encrypt your information, and that way you render it unreadable to people, except it is decrypted, right? And I think that's provides, some level of protection. You also have digital watermark technology, which I know a lot of people use, especially to protect multimedia work. So these are things that you see in like electronic on-screen logo. So for example, if you're watching maybe Netflix, for example, sometimes you see the N sign at the top of the screen, or maybe it's NTA, for example, or channels, you see that they have their logo. That is a stamp, because if you copied it, you wouldn't be able to take out just that logo sign because it's there. This kind of like sends a message to people about ownership, and stuff like that. What else? We have the digital signature technology, which includes the identity of the sender. It includes the identity of the receiver. It tells you the date that it was sent. It tells you the time. It also has a unique code, so it cannot be altered, right? So that's another way to protect your work. Another one is electronic marking. I know a lot of people do that, and even just sign your documents on the side or watermark it, on the side. That's something that people do, just tag your documents. So even when they're printed or they're copied or faxed, your mark would still be there, and that's a great thing. I'm going to also talk about smart contracts, because that's I don't know if it's a thing in Nigeria, but I know it's a big deal here. So what smart contracts are is it's a piece of code that defines the terms of like your particular transaction. So just like contracts, it's the same thing, but it's just coded and cannot be altered. So you can't really change it. And it's a good thing because it is used to establish and enforce IP agreements. You can actually prove, through that code that there was an agreement. You can enable the transfer of like digital assets. You can pay IP owners in real time. And this helps to validate like genuine products and distinguish it from fakes as well. So I think that smart contracts is something that can be also looked at. And the next thing that I will talk about, because I know that I don't have a lot of time, is managing and monetizing your digital assets. So, people say that you should store your digital assets in like maybe like a hard drive, or store it somewhere, store it in the cloud. But sometimes they are not inherently secure, right? There are a lot of privacy issues, and these assets are valuable to your business. So it's important that you have to take steps to protect them from unauthorized use. And this way, of course, you allow your assets to be exploited, it can be sold, it can be licensed, and that could create some sort of income stream to your business or to you personally. And I feel a lot of times to nations, right? So there has to be proper planning. And I know that people use things like digital asset management to store their data nowadays. And that's another good thing. Cataloging your digital assets. So you're putting them together and labeling them and making sure that they are in one centralized system. So this also helps because if, for example, a company is being acquired or is merging with another company, what happens is you have a centralized system of your IP in one system, as opposed to going to the trademark office and then going to the copyright office and going to the patent office just to get different documents. You have a centralized system where you could just walk in and get your audits done, in no time. So I think that is actually a great thing. So I will take questions, but I will end here with these words of Haku, who is one of my favorite anime characters. When people are protecting something truly precious to them, they truly can become as strong as they need to be. So thank you. If you need to email me, that's my number, or my email address rather. Thank you.
I think you mentioned you have some questions. Is that what you said, Dokia?
No. I just said if they have questions, like I could take questions eventually.
Oh, okay. Yes, there are questions. But like she said, please, if you have more questions, please send them in. Thank you. So Joshua, Sage.
You're muted. Okay.
All right. I just unmuted myself. Thank you. So I am joining it from my mobile phone. So I don't know if I'm able to share my slides here. But I'm going to make it I'm going to make it brief. So good afternoon, everybody. And thank you for that wonderful presentation. Mokhmut, I don't know if I got your name correct.
It's Mokhut, so this is not
Sorry,
right.
Sage,
Yeah.
can you send it to me so that I can share it for you?
It's just M-O-K-U-T. Yeah, just Mokhut.
Oh, okay, cool. Mokhut. And Grace will be coming after me. So I really would not, and this is the first thing the proper foundation I should lay is that I am a banking and finance lawyer, and I do fintech work and deal with digital assets from the capital markets and banking and finance perspective. So, which I think is also, very relevant to the conversation. So I am not going to pretend like I am an IP expert. So I'm sure Mokhut has done a wonderful job. So I'm going to be coming from a different perspective, which if there is any techpreneur or any fintech lawyer on the call today, you'd find quite useful. So yes, in Nigeria today, I'm going to be talking about the regulation of digital assets, and this is, for somebody who is a lawyer in the jurisdiction, I'm an associate with the law firm of Aluko and everybody in the banking and finance and fintech team. So in the market, what we've seen is there's so many people who are confused as to what really regulates or which regulatory authority regulates digital assets in Nigeria. And the confusion comes from how to properly categorize digital assets, right? So are they virtual currencies, which will be like means of exchange for value, or in some jurisdictions, they're treated that way. In some other jurisdictions, they're treated as barter trade, where they're treated as commodity, actual commodity. And as Mokhut said, they're also a type of digital, or the most popular type of digital asset is cryptocurrency, and that's a token, right? So from the CBN's perspective, it is regulating it as a means of exchange, as a legal tender, right? And pursuant to the CBN Act, the only legal tender is the Nigerian Naira and Kobo. So it is not about to allow any other type of currency compete with that. So that is why the CBN is seeking to regulate it. So, and then how does the SEC come in? The SEC, on the other hand, is viewing digital assets as securities, and we talked about them having value, right? So from that perspective, the SEC is looking at digital assets as a means of, storing value for companies, and there are different types, and I'll go through each of them. So for instance, if you own a share of Apple, right, you're one of the part owners, but there are some tokens that allow you. So for instance, if you buy into Binance, BNB, the coin, you do not own a part of Binance as a company, right? But you actually have, you're buying into that particular token, which has some underlying asset. So it is tracking Binance's performance as an exchange. So if you buy into that, that is what you're buying. You're not buying into, but unlike Coinbase, I think, then did an IPO recently. And on the IPO, they are selling shares in Coinbase. So if you buy into that, you're buying a part of. So these are all different forms of digital assets, and the Nigerian Stock Exchange is looking at them from different perspectives. So for the first one, so what is the law today on digital asset as virtual currency in Nigeria? I'm sure you should be aware, the first circular that the CBN released on this subject was on the 12th of January 2017. And what it said is it sort of gave some free, and it allowed banks to, by their own internal anti-money laundering and counterfeiting policies, decide whether they want to acquire the business of a cryptocurrency exchange. So if they looked, of course, they will set out KYC documents, know your customer documents, and say, if you have this, and that, then I'll be able to acquire a business and you can do business as usual. That was what the CBN said. But the CBN, however, prohibited banks themselves from investing in any cryptocurrency. So that was the position in 2017. And then in 2018, of course, they came back and tried to clarify what the position of the law is on that point, but still reiterating that whoever is investing in a digital asset or cryptocurrency does so at its own risk, right? But of course, the most revolutionary one was the most recent one, the circular, which was released on the 5th of February 2021. Again, there are so many misconceptions as to what the actual implication of that circular is. The circular doesn't prohibit or ban, like I've seen in some reports, cryptocurrency or digital assets in Nigeria. That's not what the CBN is doing. The CBN, with that circular, is saying, first of all, I regulate the banking sector. So yes, you can trade cryptocurrency, and people are still trading digital assets, on different exchanges, but you cannot do so, one, using a Nigerian bank account. So if you're a crypto exchanger, you cannot have a bank account. So it doesn't want that mess in its own house. And you know why? Because this cryptocurrency has some, the banks, most of the banks, yes, there's some systemic risks that come with, allowing such a volatile asset, to come into like the banking industry. So to that extent, the CBN has prohibited banks from, one, facilitating any crypto exchange or any buying or sale of any digital asset, whether be it a token or be it an actual coin or be it, any asset or protocol that is tracking rather any securities. So that is the first thing. The second thing is then a directive to the banks that if there are any existing accounts for, one, the exchange itself. So Binance has an account with First Bank or GTB, all such accounts must be closed. And then if you're an individual who is buying cryptocurrency with your account, and then maybe you label the transaction cryptocurrency exchange, then such should be closed. And those are, for banking lawyers, we know that there's a difference between closing an account and freezing it. So when you close down an account, the person still is entitled to their money. So it just means you cannot do business with this person. You close the account and then you return the money to them. It's different from actually freezing the account. There's a new Banking and Other Financial Institutions Act in 2021. A bank cannot unilaterally freeze your account or even place any restriction unless there is a court order. That is the law. It was in the banking, it was in the BOFIA 1990 or 91, I beg your pardon. But the banks somehow, I don't know where they got the power from, usually just, placed a restriction on people's account. But in light of the NSAS and all of this has happened, people are more aware that a bank cannot freeze your account unless they've actually seen an order from the Federal High Court freezing that account. So you cannot do that. So the bank can close down the account and give you your money if you're doing any cryptocurrency. So today, what we've seen in the market is most of the exchanges have then moved from a centralized exchange to a decentralized one, which is mainly peer-to-peer. So if you want to trade in any digital asset today, you would then go on Binance as the exchange, right? And then you send the money directly to whoever is selling on the other side. The exchange acts as your escrow agent, takes the digital asset on one hand, and then because it doesn't have any bank accounts with the Nigerian bank, it charges its own fees in crypto. So it doesn't go to anybody. And then you